It's Monday night. It's time for some broadcast. Yes, we're a wee bit late. I'll explain why. It's because I got chatting to our special guest tonight. These things happen. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. I got an amazing show for you tonight. We're so eager to not only have a fantastic Braw ambassador, but we've got insane championship wrestling, international pro wrestling star, Jester, the hardcore icon of the planet. Fuck it, we can call him whatever we want. Before we kick off and we get Jack on in just a second, hit us up in the comments. Let us know whatever you're watching tonight. We'd love to say hello to you. A whole bunch of people on. We've got Pierre Boyle already, Susanna Rust. We have got Colin. We've got Pierre Murphy. In fact, we have got well over 125 people watching already. So we are in good shape. So the way this works here on broadcast, me and Jack are going to have a wee chat and we're going to talk about his career. We're going to talk about his thoughts on the future. We're going to talk about a little bit about everything. And trust me, he's probably one of the most diverse, unique guys we have ever had in the show. Take another away from everyone. But just very quickly, though, if you have any questions that you would like me to put to Jack Jester at the end of our interview, here's what to do. Pop us in the comments. It's nice and simple. Just pop us in the comments. I will get to as many as we can. Are you ready? Let's bring him on. Normally, I feel weird doing this without Simon Cassidy here from ICW. So I'll just have to do my best. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Big Kink, the devil's favourite dirty. He is the hardcore icon, Jack Jester.
Yo,
there he is.
Hardcore icon of the planet. Hardcore icon of the planet.
Of the planet. I don't think there's anybody else now, mate. I think you can actually lay claim to that. That's a new T-shirt. That's a new T-shirt.
Where would I sell them? Where would I sell them?
Oh, fuck it. Online?
I'm useless for that kind of stuff.
Get yourself on the Twitch. Get yourself on the Patreon.
Billy, we're a minute into this, and you've already reminded me that there's no live shows, and I don't have a job.
Mate, I'm sorry.
You know, I was in a cracking mood before this came on, and now it's hit me like a ton of feathers. That I'm not.
That's a match I want to see. It's like, how the devil are you, mate? It has been 6 months.
It has been. That's bonkers, isn't it?
That's mental. Bonkers. It seems like only yesterday we were in the garage and we were saying things like, "Oof, apparently there's one case in Dundee." Do you remember that?
Well, aye. So, funny story that I found a video on my I just got a new phone and I was looking at my old videos. And I've actually got a video of Andy Rudo, holding what would I say, like a seminar on the dangers of coronavirus, because he was tuned into this 6 months before everybody else was, and we were all going, like, calm down, it's not that bad. He wasn't shaking hands. He introduced the foot tap, so you had to like touch shoes with the person in front of you, because I'm going ridiculous. And this is him miming a seminar with his pie chart and his pointer. And then, you know what? Like, he was right. And here we are 6 months down the line.
All I've got to say is, if Chris Whitty ever wants to step aside, let's get Rudo on it. That's all I've got to say.
Although I will say that if Rudo was the First Minister,
right,
we wouldn't be able, I mean, the army would be in the streets making a stand. We'd be getting stuff posted through we'd be getting maybe, like, you know, astronaut food. We'd be getting freeze dried through the letterbox.
Ice cream sandwiches for the moon. Ice cream sandwiches for the moon.
We'd be on like army rations and all that, because he just wouldn't let us out. I've got
to say, we've got to get Rudo on, because I'd be interested to hear exactly what he's got to say about it. Last time I spoke to him, it was an interesting thing. But mate, we've got so much to cover, because I want to chat about your career and everything, where it's going to go. Everything's just on pause just now. Everyone keeps saying this is off, everything's just on pause just now. And we're all about positivity here on broadcast. So everything's just on pause just now. But we got to start, man. There's so many questions. I think of all the guests we've had on, so many questions came in for you. It was unbelievable. So much love. People so excited, because we haven't seen much from you in a wee while, apart from your handsome face being on the WWE Network.
Well, who would have thought it? Pigs can fly.
Well, I still remember the first time I think I saw it was a graphic with a whole bunch of us. There was you, there was Rudo, there was me, there was Wee Man, there was and I was just going, what a fucking world we live in. Like,
I know. And then when this was up, everybody was going, I mean, this is a PG product, so no doubt be highly watered down and censored. And I'm like, just wait. And the thing is, they've not censored anything, which is that's the bonkers. You'd be gushed if they'd censored that.
Well, I'll be honest with you, I kept waiting for the phone call. I can't wait. Vince himself. Vince going, no chance, click. It's just not happening. Sorry, pal.
It's been amazing, and it's been trending every week as well. I think we're number one more than once, I'm sure.
Well, I've got to say, it's seeing all the positive traffic online from people. Like, I get people saying nice things about the commentary, which is lovely, but then I see all the reams of comments about the matches, and God, how much has the WWE universe, if you like, fallen in love with the Kinky Party? If they can, like, it is amazing. It's the story to end all stories.
Well, it's 3 years today. It's
3 years.
It's an anniversary since we became an official team.
But, man.
So obviously we're going, I mean, the Kinky Party, is that going to be allowed? Or, you know, obviously the story like you're saying about the swearing and the being censored and stuff.
Yeah.
But then the worry was kind of like the first time we took ICW on tour.
Yeah.
Will this relate to somebody in Newcastle or London or Liverpool? And it did. And then I'm assuming there's going to be some troubles with the accents and stuff, but it seems to have transferred well to people all over the world watching it.
I think so. I think very rarely have I seen any sign of the accents actually coming up. But look, mate, I've just got to say, I was so happy as a punter, almost like so happy to see you guys getting on that level and getting, like, I feel, you know what I mean? It's just seeing you guys getting that platform. I was so fucking happy about it.
It is, man. Like, obviously we've known about the deal for quite a while, and it's taken years for this to go from, you know, the idea to what's actually happening.
Yeah.
And it's just good to. It just feels like one other step for the company as well.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, the company's grown. I mean, we would never have thought back when we started it that it was going to be anywhere near where it was. Every year we go, this is mad, and then to end up in the network, it's mad. And the thing is, we'll sit in the office on a Wednesday, kind of preempting the next episode going up and just laughing because we can't believe the stuff that was on the show that's going to end up in the network. You know what I mean? Like, and the thing is, I think if the reason that we're there in the first place is because we're different and because we can offer something that WWE can't anymore. We can't do they're in the PG and the attitude and stuff. But it's just every week going, oh, I wonder how this is going to get in. Like Dallas walking out in Fear and Loathing with a MAGA hat and stuff like that.
Do you know the thing that I like is, like, and I won't lie, I very rarely watch stuff that I'm in a bag, but I always make sure to rewatch the shows whenever they go up on ICW On Demand, which you can still get if you want to check out that amazing back catalogue. Make sure to check out. But it's getting excited about knowing what's coming up. You know, it's me getting excited about going, oh my God, I know what the next match is, or oh my God, I know what the next show is, and how people are just going to blow the mind. Because you said it, man. You guys set out all the way back to Mary Hill, all the way back. It was to be something different.
Right, and Mary Hill, I mean, there was, I say a crowd, there was people there, but half of those people were the people that built the ring. You know what I mean? Like, if you look back, there's just people, like, there's like photographs of me bleeding half to death, and there's just a guy sitting in the third row eating a Chinese.
Jester, just so you know, somebody's watching.
Oh, it's right, she found it. I've been trying. Hi, Mum. Oh, that's my cousin as well. Question for Jack. I have twin girls who are massive fans. Sylvia and Alice, Jester, Chin. That's my nieces. That's the
amazing. There we go.
That's going to be the future female tag champs.
One idea. We'll get back to that. That'll be amazing.
But it's the network thing is bonkers. And then again, like, me and Shah laugh because everyone that's going up, like this one that just went up this week, we did a Chuckle Brothers spot in that match. And,
so you did.
You know, I feel personally responsible for opening the world up to who the Chuckle Brothers were. You know, more folks should know that they should have been big in America. I don't care what anybody says.
They should have been big in America, actually. I think if anyone is watching, and we do have people watching from all around the world, if you haven't had a chance, go back and check out the Chuckle Brothers back catalogue. I should tell you now, they're entertainers, not wrestlers, but if they had been wrestlers, they'd have been over like fuck.
Are you joking? What a tag team that would have been.
What a tag team.
What an absolute farce their matches would have been. Picture the chaos that would ensue.
Do you know, we'll get back to the Kinky Party in just a wee second, but I would love to see, remember back in the day when you used to get like videos and it was exclusively about wrestlers? Before we had the network, you got like a video and this was like best of Bret Hart, this is like the best of The Undertaker. I would love to see that video, best of the Kinky Party. Just that wee hour-long documentary for things like, and if you, again, this sounds like I'm mad shilling ICW On Demand, but that time in Newcastle, when you had, was it Newcastle? It was Newcastle where you had your party when you got the launch party when you got. I know everyone called her a stripper, which I always thought was very unfair.
Tits McGee. That's what we call her.
Tits McGee.
I mean, I don't do it behind her back. Like, that's what I call her to her face. Like she answers to that name. Not like a dog or anything. But you know what I mean, Billy?
One absolute laugh, man. That woman is bona fide crazy as well.
Yeah, she is bonkers. And honestly, she didn't know that was happening. By the way, like I didn't tune her into this, so which makes it even better. Because we had a stripper who did know what was happening, and then we did the switcheroo. But I literally did, and she could have said no to me, but as soon as I gave her the offer, she was in there, man. That was her moment. I packed to O2 Academy, and she just went bonkers for it.
That was it. She turned up at other shows. What a laugh, man! What a laugh. And if Miss McGee, you are watching tonight, we hope you're very well. All the best to you. Right. Let's get into some career chat. What a ride it has been, all the way from Maryhill. Now, it's funny recently because if you get a chance, check out photographer David Wilson. He's put up some pictures recently which have been, are almost ICW babies, I think would be a way of putting it. Is you guys in those really, really early days. And I saw this young guy. He kind of looked like you, but he was clean shaven, and he was in this bright ring gear. You've trained, right? You've trained. Yeah. You're making your way in the wrestling world. What's the first glimpse we get
of what I was like?
Of what you were like?
Honestly, the photographs that I know David Wilson has got gave me the fear. Honestly, there's some right. So I've been through quite a few phases, because to my own detriment, I wouldn't just be the same as everybody else. So instead of just getting tights or biker shorts, which I wish I had, because I could look back at that and go, they were basic.
Yeah.
I had I went through my one sleeve black and white stripy jumper phase.
Right.
Because wearing a jumper is a good idea.
I think it's what wrestling's missing. Hey, look, Bray Wyatt's doing it now. So
Bray Wyatt can tell you how roasting it is.
Well, he's a trailblazer. You're a trailblazer.
But then I took one sleeve off. Just you stick your leg out the bed. You're roasting. I don't know if that was my thinking, but I went through my multicoloured patch and frill phase.
Right.
I think when I first started, I wore like a shirt. I just wore loads of roasting stuff, and then I went shirtless for a while, and then I went back to the waistcoat and stuff. So, but I've been through a few phases. In fact, I found a photograph that was taken years ago, and you're saying you can see there's me in there.
Yeah,
but it's been a drastic change.
Well, where did I'll tell you what we'll do. I'll quite skip back. You wanted to get into pro wrestling. Have you been a wrestling fan all your life?
No, actually, I got into wrestling quite late. I mean,
right.
I was young. I got into wrestling about 98. So,
right.
That is quite late considering. I wasn't watching it when I was a kid. It was like high school.
That's in the sort of peak of the Attitude Era, right about that time. Yeah.
Right.
So, what was the steps for you to actually get into the wrestling ring?
So I was I found a flyer in my high school.
Right.
Like one of those, do you want to be a wrestler? And I did. So
what? A flyer in your high school?
A flyer in my high school, do you want to be a wrestler? And I remember it because it was in, I don't know why this colour scheme ever happened, but it was yellow paper with red print.
There you go.
It was an awful flyer. But then it turns out that the training school was like a 10-minute walk from my high school. So I started training there every Tuesday night, Thursday night, and Sunday. So I'd train 4 hours on a Tuesday night, 4 hours on a Thursday night, and 8 hours on a Sunday.
Jesus.
And my training cost me 20 quid a week. Right. So I worked in a pet shop on a Saturday, and then I get paid £20 for that.
Lost job.
So like basically I fed budgies to achieve my dream.
What fucking hell? If that is not the title of a book, I don't know what is.
But I fed budgies, but also I don't know if you know this is more commonly known than it should be, but I'm a bit funny with hamsters, right? So if you pass me a hamster, I've got no problem with it.
Right.
But I can't pick them up. So I used to scoop them with a dog food scoop and put them in a bucket while I cleaned their sawdust. It's just the thought of putting my hand into a cage. They're too scary. And they give you a
I've got to admit, I did not think this was going to go down the line of hamster chat, but I will admit I did not see that coming. But I've got to admit, first time, people think this sounds mental, but you see the first time someone had you a hamster, you're like, oh shit. I was exactly the same when I had my kid. I was like, when someone had me the baby, it's like, oh fuck, can pass me the scoop. That'd have been ideal if I could have just... I've
got a photograph. I gave Drew Galloway / McIntyre, my nephew.
Whatever happened to that boy?
Not a keep.
Whatever happened to that boy?
I don't know. He get really very, very large. But there's a photograph of Drew holding my nephew Joseph backstage at the Kilmarnock Grand Hall, and it's the most unnatural thing. I was like, come on, get a nice photograph of Drew's just like, you know, holding like a trophy or like a football or something. He's just terrified.
Yeah.
Drew, what happened to him?
Well, I've heard he's had some success. I think he opened a Subway for...
He's doing all right for himself. He is doing all right for himself.
I think you might make it. I
think he's doing Avon.
Avon, well, it's popular this time. Do you know what I mean? You just drop it off. I really hope this doesn't make it back to him. But I've got to say, a blast from the past just sent me in this picture. Boom. Look at that. I think this is it the Buff Club? That's the Buff Club.
That is the Buff Club. I remember that day vividly.
And that is yourself with a white beard there.
But that was pre-beard. That was face paint.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
So I think this is how this happened, right? Because I used to paint this bit white and then do this bit black, and then I get bored after about 2 shows because it took ages.
Right.
So I just thought, why not just grow a beard and just, you know, and it's been life changing.
Yeah.
So that was me and my pal Lolly, who was my valet in ICW.
That's right.
And obviously Peter Murphy, who was Conscience, and that was called the Ministry of Bizarre. Mm-hmm. We did a few things together. But I remember that day actually. That was probably longer ago than I remember.
Fucking well, we've got. That's the thing. I don't know if we're going to be able to get through this in one episode because there is so much to get through, man. Because there's like all these stages. Because that's like early days of professional wrestling before, no pun intended, there was a bit of a boom here in Scotland. I think it'd be fair to say.
Way before that.
But because obviously, I don't want to say the dark days, but you've said it before. And we've had an opportunity to sit down. Again, I swear to God, I'm not plugging ICW on demand. But
yes, you are, Billy. You're clearly plugging ICW.
It's all I've got to say is subscriptions are available. Hundreds of hours of content. If the office are watching, I'm still a company man. You can check it all out there. But one of the things you were talking about was the kind of dark days of wrestling. Because do you think there was a thing? Because we heard about stuff going on in England and London, but it wasn't really a wrestling scene here. There was kind of like, it never got respect. It never got people despite the fact it was a passion, clearly, but there wasn't. And you were part of that wave of sort of people coming into it with this new creativity and this new passion. Because those dark days, and you've said it before, it was grim.
It was really grim. I mean, like, I didn't know they were grim because I didn't know of anything else. So when I started training, everything from the way we were trained to the way, I say we were treated, but you know, like, wrestling's moved on so much. It's become an actual business, and it's become a profession here. Whereas before, everybody wanted to go to England, so we'd all be flocking to like FWA or WXW, and even then there wasn't an abundance of wrestling in the South. It was just that it was better known than up here. But I mean, the dark days, looking back now, I mean, really, and I've said this for ages, it wasn't a very nice time to be about, but I'm glad I was then, because you know, I think that's why nothing phases me anymore, because if you can deal with that stuff and you can deal with the holiday parks back when I was 19 and the way that was and the way you're treated on them, you're bomb-proof, you know what I mean? But I mean, it's the kind of camaraderie. Like, it's like fond memories as well of like Oyas being crammed into the back of a van because they wouldn't take an extra car. So we're in the back of the van with all the beams that weren't tied in, just risking our lives trying to get to Carluke. But the door would slide up and somebody was hanging out the door and I was trying to hold the beams in on the motorway. You know what I mean? But you just don't get good wholesome fun like that anymore.
Well,
you know what I mean? all these risk assessments and all that. Live a little.
Well, you've heard it here first. When we come out the other side in the new world, let's take some more fucking risks.
Speaking of grim, and I still feel bad to this day, but obviously when you're a young wrestler, you're trying your best. You take any bookings you can and you're trying to make it. I stood up my prom date to go wrestle in Kilmarnock Grand Hall. And now, if you look at Kilmarnock Grand Hall now, you'd be like, well, that was good. But these were the dark days when Kilmarnock Grand Hall had maybe about 30 people in it.
Well,
and that's something that I regret.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because we've got her here right now, and that's what we're doing. We're bringing people together after all these years. But like, you're wrestling as much as you can. You're getting things going. You're working hard. It's what you need to do. And the thing is, I consider wrestling, I always have done, to be a creative art form, a creative industry. Your opportunities are hard to come by. You've got to grind away at it. ICW comes along, or you meet Mark Dallas, and he's got the dream. Again, there's a story to tell there another time, but if you do get a chance, those initial days of ICW, incredible. But you are this fit for it because it gives you the opportunity to do something you've never been able to do in wrestling. There isn't come on, let's go, or clapping in time. We're changing it. We're taking it to a different place. Hey, and listen, I know for a fact I'm going to get some heat from a couple of people going, that's my good stuff. Well, that's fair enough, but
it's just, that's the stuff that you do. I mean, we've all done it, you know.
That's it, and there's nothing wrong with it, because I've seen it light a place up. I've seen it light a place up, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's that family entertainment. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's amazing. It's what got me into wrestling. But you get an opportunity to do something different and darker and maybe more creative for yourself, because since I've known you, Lee, I know for a fact that you do artwork, you paint. I know you've dabbled with hairdressing. We talked a little bit about that before we went in. So many different things going on. Was this something that you just felt you needed to do? Like, you could take the bookings at the holiday camps, you could get better in the ring, but you needed to express yourself.
I think it was the holiday parks that spurred it, really, because I went straight from the holiday park. So on my 18th birthday, I left for my first full-time gig. My first show was in Weems Bay Holiday Park, and there was I say there's nobody there. I mean, there was like 4 people there, and it was just because it was breakfast time. Like, they were actually raging that I was interrupting their breakfast because I was asking them to clap their hands. They're like, come on! They're going, shut up, man. What is this nonsense? And then I jumped from Haven onto Butlins, where I was Scotland's Lee Thomas, and I wore a kilt, and I came out and waving a Scotland flag to bagpipes. And it was busy. I mean, I was the busiest. I think it was the busiest Scottish wrestler I was at that point. I was like 28 matches a week.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, bonkers to think now. I don't think that will ever happen again. But I was doing that, and I was just, again, I was busy, but I didn't feel like I was getting anywhere. It was just show after show after show. And then I'd given up a lot of bookings up here because if I asked for a day off to come to Scotland, they would give me the permission, but then say, I'll just come back in 2 weeks. So I ended up losing so much work. So I just stopped. And then I came back and I was like, I need to do something good here. I need to start loving this again. And that's when I spoke to Dallas. And ICW was a thing before me. Like, they ran shows before me.
Yeah.
I mean, a while before me. But he'd stopped doing it. And then the conversation came up about this new gimmick idea I had. And there was nowhere else that I could do it. So I contacted him. And we agreed to, like, I was like, let's do one more show. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. And he did one more show. And, you know, it did work, thankfully. But that's going to be a very different situation.
Well, the rest is history because, I mean, that was, I mean, I've been very lucky because I got to come into ICW at a period where you guys were on the ascent, but you were already, you know, the cart was moving. You guys were on your way there already. I just buckled onto it because you went from you went on from like studio.
Yeah.
I want to say Studio 54. Have I got that right? Was it Studio 54? I always get the name of it wrong. It was where the old Junglers was.
Apollo 23.
Apollo 23. Where the hell do I get that from?
Studio was Edinburgh.
Yeah, that's right. Studio 20. Apollo 23. I didn't know that again. Which used to be, and it's an unbelievably. It's ridiculous. It's now the Glee Club in Glasgow, but it was Junglers before that, where I had gigged. And it was funny when I actually went back into the Glee at the start of 2020, or maybe it was the start of last year, and I stood in that room and I went, oh my God, it hasn't fucking changed. How?
It changed. That's good to hear because I want to go back. And I was kind of frightened to go in case it was completely different.
I can tell you this now, the toilets are exactly the same. That's what spooked me out the most, was the fact that yeah, well, they were a little cleaner, I'll say that much. They were a little cleaner. But what I thought was the big hand basin. I can't believe I'm talking about this. There's a big hand basin, and I stood watching this guy washing his hands, and I thought, how many people have pissed in that hand basin? Because everybody thinks it's a fucking urinal. It's right in the middle of the room.
It's a big communal thing. It's confusing.
Exactly, but that is historically a very important place to ICW because that's where they did those first My Channels and the Monday Night Brawl shows. And then it went on, obviously, there was that famous Glasgow street fight, which I think might have been one of my first nights. It wasn't my first night, but it was one of my first nights. And that is, like you talked about, like pivot points. That's a point where ICW, sorry, that's the Wayne's going to bed, went through the absolute roof. Like
the street fight, that actually, again, ICW really has been built on lots of, as Bob Ross would say, happy little mistakes. So the Apollo 23 thing came about because I was out in Denniston.
Right.
I don't remember why, but I bumped into one of my mates who hadn't seen in a while halfway up the street, and he said, "We're having a party, do you want to come?" So I did. I went there, and then somebody at the party had told me that they get an email from a company asking to do shows, adult shows or something, and I went, "Don't go with them, contact this guy." And I gave him Alice's number. And the Apollo thing kind of happened for there. So that was a like stepping stone into the nightclub scene from Mary Hill. And if you remember those days, Billy, like that's when something you're like, something's going on here, because the queue used to be wrapped in the building so many times.
There was a buzz, like an immediate, even the queue. You almost wanted to go outside and stand near the queue because there was a buzz. Like the minute people were, and I think, like, so it was like, it was in, sorry, I did it again. It was an Apollo, then it went to the Classic Grand, which was an even bigger buzz. From there, I think, I always struggle this in the middle venue. I know this sounds mental, but I always struggle with where it went from the Classic Grand. Was it what couldn't have been the Barrowlands? It must have been the old.
The garage.
The garage. What am I talking about? Of course, it was the garage. The garage, and then obviously went to the Barrowlands and the O2 and the ABC. Oh, God rest it. And how crazy that's went, and the journey you've had, because that was at a time where you were one of the big characters, one of the faces of the company, one of the Mount Rushmore of ICW. I think when I got to speak to Rudo quite a wee while back, he said, you, Wolfgang, just two of the faces that are up there, the Mount Rushmore of ICW, because it was two people that immediately identified it. And you were reaching out. Do you think because the characters were adult and because you got your guys in tight because of who Jack Jester is, do you think you were reaching out to a whole bunch of people that had almost become lapsed wrestling fans to give them someone else to cling on to?
I think so. But ICW's always been the same. ICW fans aren't necessarily wrestling fans.
No.
So there's a large majority of the crowd that will just come for that's their wrestling fix. They won't watch WWE or AEW. It's not their thing. So it was good for us. It's almost like going for a holiday park show to a show like an adult show or a family friendly show. You need to adapt. So like for the holiday parks, for example, it's a good way of describing it. Those people in the crowds are there because that's the entertainment. So if we're wrestling at 2:00, they're there because that's the entertainment. If it was a magician or a singer, they'd still be there because they've paid their fees, right? So I need to go out there and tell them how to react to wrestling. I need to go out there and let them know they can make noise, let them know they can boo me, and let me know they can cheer me. And it's the same with ICW, because in ICW you've got wrestling fans who will watch it religiously, and you've got folk who are there because they saw the documentary or they saw Road to Wrestler, or they saw, so you need to kind of introduce them to what a wrestling crowd is. And it catches on quick, because with ICW they tend to kind of look and go, well, these people are mental, so I can do it as well. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's good. It's a completely different league altogether, and it's nerve-wracking for folk who, I've been there since the early days, but if you're walking into the ICW now, it's nerve-wracking because they know that the crowd can be absolutely brutal. Whether they love you, hate you, or whether they're just slagging you off or chanting stuff at you, so you need to be prepared to take that kind of stuff.
It's something for everyone, isn't it? Like, it really opens it up. Like you say, we'll get people coming in with their pint going, what is this? And by the end of it, they've made two new best pals. They're so into it. They're, the next day they're buying, t-shirts and what have you. It's such a unique part of the experience. And since day one, I think even seeing in the WWE Network, people must be watching that going, where the hell are these fans? Where the hell are these fans? Like, I can guarantee when things open up and shows are back, we're going to get people traveling from all around the world to be a part of an ICW crowd. Absolutely. Like, I think that's definitely going to happen.
And I think that's how ICW grew so quickly. It's because every single show, somebody will go and then say to their mates, you need to come and see this. So the next time they bring their mates with them. And then like that mate will say, he dragged me to this show and it was bonkers. And they've got this, they've got violence, and they've got humour, and then they'll come. So like the crowds are just gradually just growing because they're hooking more of their pals in because they want to go and have an experience. It's good going yourself or going with two people, but imagine going with a group of 10-year mates to an ICW show. You know what I mean? It's bonkers. It's what a night.
We're lucky we get the best seats in the house, don't we? We get the best seats in the house to watch a show. But and I know that over the years, as well as developing your own career, obviously, it's funny because I remember hearing about Cactus Jack, and I know Mick Foley is a hero of yours. And it's funny because there was a period in time where Mick Foley was told, or Cactus Jack was told, you don't need a belt. You don't get a belt. You don't get that spot. This is your part on the show. But as Jack Jester became such a big part of it and became embraced by the crowd, you obviously went on to main event status. Not that you weren't up there, of course, but to get that championship run, which of course we saw in documented and the documentaries and what have you as well. How did that feel? Because that's a completely different change from being a part of this team. You're helping the young guys, and I know that you've always been. Although I know only recently you've taken a sort of backstage producing role as well as what you're doing, but I know that you've always been a big one for giving creative input, and because of Dallas the way he is, he just eats that up, and you guys won't shoot back. I know you've been involved with that a long while. How did it feel to get that opportunity to be a champion, and probably the first champion of a new era. No disrespect to the wrestlers that had been champions before. I mean, obviously we had, James Scott and BT Gunn and Rudo, of course. He was definitely a champ that turned a corner. And of course, Whiplash. But then you took it on. This was at the point when it was really starting to take fire. This was Grado. And it's funny because the Grado era had come along. That had got a lot of buzz of it, but this was when ICW, the trains were turning. How did that feel during that time? What was your thoughts going into that whole time?
It was good because, and again, I don't like rushing things. So me and Dallas have spoke about this title run for years.
Right.
So it was meant to happen, and then it would get pushed back. And it was meant to happen, and it would get pushed back. And I'm a big fan of that because I don't think you should just throw stuff away straight away. Just because the time feels right. That guy should have a belt. Don't give him it then and make people wait a wee bit longer. But it's just grown. So again, going for the Mary Hill days it was just growing so fast. And then the winning the belt at the ABC, that was the kind of, it started feeling a bit real there, as in you are now representing this company, and things kind of fell onto you, and you felt, because when you've got the belt, you feel responsible if the shows are quieter than they were the month before.
Yeah.
Although that isn't the case, it's no one person's fault, but you're leading the company, so you feel like that is your responsibility. So the pressure's there. And again, folk don't realise either, being on last every single show, especially on an ICW show where every single person is going out there to steal the show. And then, you're sitting at the monitor going, right, okay, next one. And then you need to go out and make sure that you're ending that show on a high.
Yeah,
but like you're saying, this all happened around about the Insane Fight Club.
That's right, yeah.
Where so becoming champion of the company, you're taking on a whole new role. But then all of a sudden, I was the guy off the telly as well, because the first one was, I'm pretty sure, like on the preview we were aiming for like 150,000 viewers or something.
Yeah,
and it ended up doing like 1.6 million or something, or 1.2 million. It was really.
And just kept going. People were bootlegging it. You saw going up on YouTube and in torrent sites, and literally going around the world.
I think it was in British Airways flights. I
think it was. It definitely was on Netflix at one point as well.
Was it actually?
I believe it was, because I remember, and it came out round about. Let's see, I would have been over at one of the WrestleManias, and because I'm a complete mark for myself, I was wearing an ICW t-shirt, but I got stopped, like maybe, and I'm not joking, walking down Bourbon Street in New Orleans every 10 feet, and all anyone wanted to ask me about was ICW. Anyone wanted it. That's how far it got, and people wanted to know about Jack Jester. They wanted to know, and you were the champion, and it's a mean feat in this day and age. You were the champion nearly a calendar year. No. And that was during a period, like say, we went to the ABC, we went to the Battlelands, it just kept building up and up and up. And of course, you were also part of one of the big, we've got to get onto it in just a second. Obviously, you were part of that big moment with Drew. You went into and that's something that kept on going. And all the way to the Hydro. All the way to the Hydro events, which, again, must have been just such a feeling for you.
Oh, I mean, I say I'm surprised. I'm not, because it gets to the point now where you're going, like, anything is possible.
Yeah.
But, to show up at the Hydro, it's just that, it's even the SECC. Like, I've got a photograph of me. In fact, I showed Mick this photograph of me when I was at high school, standing in Hall 4 in front of the WWE ring with my Mankind t-shirt on. And then that night, we were in the same hall. Yeah. It was an ICW ring, and I was taking Socko off Mick Foley. You know what I mean? I could never have imagined that when I was young, because I was obsessed with this guy, and I mean, obsessed.
Mick Foley's one of my absolute idols, and I remember when he asked me to say, hey, could you take the sock? And it was on stage in Newcastle, a comedy gig, and it was one of those like, yes, but I am not a wrestler. Like me, I was petrified. And for the record, it sucks. It sucks. It is not. It's one
of these daft things. Like, I was a grown man who was like being consoled backstage for my pals because I was overwhelmed at an even older man putting a sock in my mouth. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I stood there and like when he came out and the start of the show and all that, like, I mean, like Drew just rubbing my back because it's overwhelming for me to watch that. And I'm going, how did we get here?
Yeah,
how did we get here? You know, it's because we're just part of it. So I think some of us do take it for granted because it's just this is what we do and all that. But then, like me and Dallas. I don't know why we do it, but like, every time we're drunk, we put on like some of the old highlight videos. You know, like there's one like Dallas made one to Doom and Gloom with the Rolling Stones.
Oh,
and it's just a highlight package, and I sit there and I've got tears running down my face because it's just you forget all this stuff happens, and then you watch it and you go, I remember that, and I remember how I felt when this happened, I remember how I felt when that happened, and it's incredible. And then it was like the same as when Triple H showed up in Wales in Cardiff, and I was in the balcony just inconsolable, and like everybody was so awkward, they didn't know what to do. They were just kind of walking near me and rubbing my back gently, like leave me, because it's just I'm sitting there going, I can see the ICW logo. That's Triple H standing in there.
Yeah,
there's grown men just shaking each other like I can't. Because when he walked out, there was honestly a few seconds where I focused. Nah,
bullshit.
Nah.
Yeah.
And then I went, oh my God, it is him. And I goosebumps talking about it just now. It was incredible.
I still remember being told we're going to break soon because Triple H is turning up, and I still do remember going,
what?
Well, the Triple H, you know, like there was another one. Like, no, we mean Henry Hoover Hampstead or something from down the road. Like, who the fuck did I think? But you talk about shows like that Mick Foley show, the first Fear and Loathing there. I've never shown the video, but there is me coming out. First of all, they tested the air cannons that everyone was coming out next to. I was the test dummy for that. It's like, well, we're going to put them on when you come out, because we figured if anything's going to go wrong, well, great news. But everything was fine. But it's probably, and it has happened since, but I actually do like 2 laps of the ring because I'm not ready to talk yet. I actually was losing it in the middle of the ring because I was just so excited for everybody. I was literally so excited. And it's something you'll only see little kids happening. And I totally get it now. It's like, you just start crying, like totally being like, I know all my pals backstage. I know all the hard work they put for this moment. Don't fuck this up for a start.
That was one of the days we just all walked about all day, just hugging each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it was like we knew we'd worked hard to get there. It wasn't like it was a mistake or an accident, but still, you know, like we are. It's the same guys that I remember sitting, like we're all scrambling for one of the 3 seats that were backstage at Mary Hill, and now we're getting lost. I'm phoning people, like, because I've got lost backstage and all that. You know, like I don't know where I'm. You know, it's
all the fun that there was a dressing room when we were leaving. All the fun that there was a fucking dressing room when I was leaving. I was on the outside of the fucking building.
It was mad, man. And then the hydro as well, like just the scale of that building alone. And I'm sure we'd all been to gigs there prior to us being there. So it's that kind of, you know, it's just it's not the same. It's not the same as wrestling, you know, the venues that we normally do.
Yeah,
but it's great.
We'll get back to that era of wrestling in just a second, because like I say, there's so much we could do 10 podcasts on this. There's so much to cover. But one thing we've got to certainly discover is, as much as you've mentioned the family style of wrestling they can do, because in terms of diversity and performer, it's not easy to branch that between the, like we were talking about Belladrum before we came on air, like the Tartan Heart Festival, and I've seen you be the bad guy to a packed tent of like 500-600 families at Belladrum, and just having the absolute blast of your time. And you've said it's one of your favorite shows is actually doing these family events. Love it.
I mean, again, I'm best known for ICW just because that's out there more.
Aye.
But the family shows are my bread and butter, you know what I mean? And especially holiday parts and galas, and because these people don't know what this is, so I can go out there and make them react a certain way. But Belladrum is one of the highlights of my year every year. Yeah. It's just because it isn't work. It isn't your work.
No,
you know what I mean. If I wasn't going there, I would pay to go to that festival.
Yeah,
but every year I get paid to go there, and it's amazing. And the matches is again, it's that kind of casual, relaxed. You know, we don't have a tight time frame, and there's no promos and stuff. So you know, I can get there. I could get there for. I mean, most of the time, like me and Wolfgang, like he loves it as well.
Yeah.
You know, and we come back and we could have done another half an hour there at least, and we wanted to do it. You know what I mean? It's a fantastic time, and that's when you feel lucky. You're sitting there, you're getting changed into your tights and a storage container next door to Mr. Boom.
Oh, don't get me started! What a legend!
Oh,
what a legend,
Boom.
Mr. Boom.
Mr. Boom. He doesn't believe in time though. He doesn't believe in time.
No.
You need one of the big. I don't know what you call these things. What's a shepherd's stick, Billy? A big hook.
I think I've just a big shepherd's hook. I know exactly what you mean.
I'm talking about. You need to pull him off, but you can hear him coming at least because it's like boom, boom. It's gonna happen. But when I first saw him, I mean, he was a mega star when I was young.
Every year, Mr. Boom will look at all the wrestlers and all the comedians. Every year, this big group of people, and he'll go. He never recognises anybody apart from you. I think you're the only person he recognises. Every year he'll look at us and he'll go, "Oh, you're all in the band." It's like, mother, I've been coming to this festival for 4 years, mate. 4 years.
It's so good, man. And it's just one of the ones you're sitting, the sun's shining, you know, you're having a drink, and it's just that's one of the kind of weekends every year that you just go, this is cool. Like I'm up here with my pals.
Yeah.
The kids are going nuts, you know what I mean? Like, and I keep pushing every year. Like, give us a bigger tent. Give us 2 shows. You know what I mean? Let us put one in the afternoon. Let's do an adult one at night time. You know what I mean? We're there anyway. Could you imagine like an adult one in one of the bigger tents?
I just want them to give us that event for just wrestling and comedy and just family shows, adult shows. I've got it to be a night. I mean, have you seen the crowd Dolly Parton pulls in up there? And she's not even the real Dolly Parton. I was outraged when I found out. You see the crowd she pulls in, and then the mad cow halfway through it turns around. No disrespect, miss. Well, I forget your name. But halfway through it, she'll suddenly go, "Anyway, I'm actually from Essex, and you watch that tent fucking empty."
Can you stick to your character then?
Here's this. Hurry up, sing 9 till 5.
Dolly Parton.
That's a good gimmick.
But I mean, it is genuinely one of the most popular events in the whole festival. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you've got your big band, you've got your main stage and all that, but the Venus flytrap we're always in.
Yeah.
And every year it gets busier, and every year there's kids outside crying because they can't get in.
Aye.
And that's why I try and take the match outside every year, just in case there is anybody there. Plus, it gets a bit of attention, and hopefully they'll come back the next day.
Every year you'll sell a hat to the back of a wee girl, and I'll pop for it every fucking time. That's tiny.
They just don't care. It's just amazing, man. It's like the atmosphere of being in a big top. It just everything, man. It just the smell of the place. It's great, man. It's just the most fun, and you just kicking about there at night time. It's dark and there's fires roaring and stuff. It's great, man. It's great.
But to go from that to the I hate using the term blood stuff. Let's say the bloodlust of Shaq Jester. You know, we've had the barbed wire matches, we've had the table matches. You can again, I swear to God, I'm not doing it. You can check them out on ICW On Demand. No doubt they're going to make their way to the network eventually. But this was a lot of where the anything and stuff, and you can see. I mean, obviously you've got a couple of scars. I think you've got one particular bad scar in your arm, if memory serves. There it is there. You can check that. What was that one from?
Well, these are all different. It's just a collection of stuff over the years, but the long one down here, it goes from my elbow to my shoulder. That was in Germany that happened. Yeah. And then the majority of these ones, the worst ones, are the barbed wire match with Drew before he left.
Of course. So, do you have to go to a different... This is asking as a layman. Do you have to go to a different place when you know you're going to go through that type of punishment? Because it's completely different to any other match you would find yourself in. do you have to go to the, and you've been really the pioneer, hardcore icon of the planet. You've been to that. Get on a t-shirt now. Soon available soon from icwshop.com.
I can see the design of I've got the design in my head already.
Oh, there it is.
I'm not going to say it here. I'll be surprised, but when we go off air, I'll tune you in.
Good. But where are we? Do you have to go to a different place when you're going into those matches?
I think when you're on a roll with them, like back in the day, the kind of run about the championship run, I was doing it often, and I was doing it for other companies as well. So you kind of get into a role, but then I stopped that absolutely completely for a long time. So by the time the match with Drew came, it really was. I struggled to get into the main frame because the pressure. So you've got the Drew's last match before he goes back to WWE. Mm-hmm. It's the barbed wire rope match. It's at the Barras, which is I love that venue.
I miss them all so much. I really, really do.
Oh, I know. And then again, the responsibility, because Drew was already signed again, so there was restrictions on what we could do in terms of how far we could take it. Yeah. But then it was built as this dangerous match. So I was nervous that people were going to be like, that could have been better, or it wasn't as violent enough. So then that's when I had to take responsibility for that, because Drew's not going to be rolling about in barbed wire and stuff. So going into it, and it's a funny one to try and explain to folk who have never done it before, or non-wrestling fans especially, because it's not like you're going into a boxing match and you could knock that guy out straight away, or you could avoid it. Like I know prior to me getting in there that I've got this and this happening to me.
Yeah, you are going to be hurt.
And I know before I go there, I'm going to come back here and more than likely have to go to the hospital, or I'm going to need stitches, or like it's weird, like getting there and you're nervous, and just having that button with the Barrowlands as well, where you're standing, the buzz of the crowd comes right through the door, so you can feel it, and then you'll get the hype video going on, and there's no turning back at that point. So and then again, you're in there with Drew, who's a monster. I mean, he's way bigger now, but even then, Drew is a giant of a guy. And we said get in, like this has to be for the very start. Even the first match I had when he first returned, I was like, folk need to believe this is real, so therefore we have to believe it's real. So me and Drew wouldn't speak before these matches and stuff, and because I just didn't feel natural to be sitting having a laugh and then going out and ripping each other to shreds. So we'd always have that separation, and then we would kind of come back together after the match and talk things through and apologise for winding each other up, because and that's another thing as well, when you're prodding Drew with a stick, try to wind him up, you know you're going to get it, you know what I mean? So, and the guy doesn't miss you, but there's no point in having a match with barbed wire wrapped around the ropes, and he's taking it easy because he's my pal. So it just batters you. you become slightly more used to it after the 10th time. But you do definitely need to kind of switch gears a wee bit.
Yeah.
And I've done it before where I'm gone from one to another. So like I'll do that, and then I'm straight to a family show at night, or vice versa. Like I'll be in a gala in the middle of a park during the day, and then I'm straight off to be ripped to shreds like 2 hours later.
Well, so much going on, and so much has happened in your wrestling career, but a couple of things we've got to talk about happened outside of the rings. But before we do that, just quickly, this is your last chance if you're watching. Get a couple of questions in for Jester right now. We've got to do a part 2 of this. I just miss talking wrestling. I really, really miss talking wrestling. Do you know what I mean? I keep saying I'm going to start.
This is flowing. This is what, nearly an hour.
I can't believe it. I know this has nothing to do with Braw Beard, but I'm going to start a wrestling podcast. I'm going to have to. I just miss it too much. Just to get my fix. But a couple of things we need to talk about. First of all, your involvement with Braw Beard. We've got to talk about that. How did that come about? Because it seems like a very natural fit, obviously, with the brand. You've even got your own Braw Beard oil, which is cool. How did that come about? Your involvement with Braw Beard?
So John was good. So he had contacted me about doing like a kind of collab, and it kind of gave me the freedom to name it and get the artwork done, and kind of choose what I wanted. So I just thought Big Kink was a good fit for the name of the beard oil. and it kind of sounded like a hair product as well, big Kink. So we did that. Kind of good. I wanted to look a certain way, and he's been really, really good. And again, like before he contacted me, I didn't know about the beard product industry. And I mean, I think there is, it's fair to say, a lot of rubbish out there. You know what I mean? If you're paying £1 for something, then it's probably, I don't know, like crisp and dry. I don't think it does anything good for you except you smell like chip. But this stuff's amazing. So it's been good to kind of branch off and do something different. And the whole Brawtherhood thing it's amazing. You know what I mean? Like the community is, and I kind of wish it was like that for everything. It's like just like the way it's positive. Everybody talks to each other. If somebody sees somebody in the street with a hat on, they'll go up and say hello. That doesn't happen anymore. Like, nobody says hello to each other anymore. In fact, like, a wee bit of a tangent here. Right. I left the gym the other day. It was a nice day, and I was walking past the BBC, and I was walking through the park, and I'm like, I just feel like being nice today. So I was like, see, the next person I see, I'm going to say good morning because it was early. So I was walking through the park, and I'd been for a swim, and it was good. This wee lovely old man walked towards me, and I went, morning, and he patched me, and I was furious.
Prick.
And I went, and then I went to being all positive to nearly, I was like, I just want to throw him in the lake.
I've got to say this. I agree with you in this tangent, right? I know we're social distancing. I know we're all being careful, but you can say hello to somebody and good morning and be nice when you pass them in the fucking street, right? We don't know what's around the corner. Don't be a prick, right? No.
Like in a busy city centre, maybe, but when you're walking through a park and it's empty and you're it's a big long path, and eventually you meet over and you go morning, and he just walks right past you. Now, to be fair to him, he might have been deaf.
That's a point.
But I'm not exactly hard to miss when I go morning.
No, exactly.
So I think I'm giving him too much credit. I think he was just being a bit, as you say, a bit of a prick.
Well, if he's deaf and blind and he's managing to walk through the park, he's either escaped from somewhere or is really high functioning. Good on him.
It's a benefit.
Benefit, good for him.
What's I talking about there? Right in a tangent.
We're talking about
the community.
Yes,
the community. And everything, like people see John's van parked somewhere, like it's cool. It's cool. And all the products as well, like. I don't know. He just interacts so much with the people that buy into his business, and it's great. And then obviously look at the championships every year.
What a laugh!
What a laugh that is! Like, and I think every year I've taken a guest with me, and I don't even try and sell it. I just say it's the Beard and Moustache Championships, and they're kind of going, "What?" I'm like, "Trust me, just you won't believe." In fact, the first year I went. I don't know who the guys' names are. People in here might know. Are the German guys with the lederhosen? They've got the proper, proper impressive beard.
And they smell amazing. I know I say this every year. They smell amazing. They never let me get a picture with them because I don't think they know what's going on.
I took them to the cat house.
Did you?
I took them to the cat house and paraded them about. Like, I was like, look who I'm with. Look at these two fucking going, well, I'm going, I brought them here. Look at them. It's like, they were like mega stars, man. They didn't get peace all night. They've got their lederhosen and their wee feather in their hat. And
they must have been people just sitting there going, there's a story here with these three. What the fuck is this? I love that. I love that.
Great, man.
We've got to talk about a couple of things outside of the ring. Well, first of all, we know your involvement with GPWA, working with the new future generation. So many talents are coming through. Hopefully, we're going to see the. Are you guys back training yet, or are you just doing one-on-ones? Not yet.
No, we're waiting. October, we're meant to be going back, but the day we're meant to be going back is when the next briefing comes out. So it's the 5th of October. So we're going to do it that day, but we've pushed it back a week.
Yeah.
So we'll push it to the 12th. So we can wait to see what happens on the 5th, and then take it from there. But everything's had to be. We're not starting back like we would regularly.
Yeah.
Everybody's in bubbles. It's limited classes. It's one coach per class. It's the same day every week. So we're minimising any sort of contact. And the asylum, it's a big building. So as far as being socially distant, like there's meters and meters between if there's 8 people in there, then there's so much space. And of course, you're bringing in the cleaning routine and the one-way systems, and like again, the new normal. It's just what you do. So, but we've been quite adamant that we're not going to open up until it's absolutely safe, and we know. Because what's the point? What is the point? We all miss it. I miss wrestling and I miss training, but for the sake of a couple of weeks, I'm not willing to get anybody at risk or jeopardise the reputation of the school for that.
It's a day-to-day thing as well. We've got to keep up to date with everything that's going on, and it's more important than anything. People need to stay safe. But as well as that, there's so many different things. But one of the things I've got to talk about is your. I've always said, because we've done Have I Got Chair Shots for You, and so I've always said that you are one of the most naturally funny wrestlers that I've ever met. You got a great improv time. I'm not saying it suck up because you're a mate. I always have a blast when we get a chance to share on the stage together and doing some improv. It's always great fun. But that has led to another thing, because it was this year. I'm trying to think. It was this year. You made your.
I don't know.
You made your. Who knows? You made your acting debut in a sitcom for the BBC called The Scots. I got the name right. Which is brought to you by the Burnstein guys, and some amazing writing, some really amazing comedy talent in there as well. And you've just slid straight in there. Doing some acting. Now, I know you've done a bit of presenting on Rogue to Wrestler, and you've been involved with other things. Was this something completely different? Is this something you'd always wanted to do, with some acting?
Right, so and this is the thing, right? So I'm terrible for saying, I'd love to do this, I'd love to do that, and then I don't do it.
Right.
So I basically just got an email from Rob Florence saying, would you audition for this part? And I think it was the next day I went into audition. So he sent me the script through, and again, Billy, I've never done anything like that before, as far as an audition process. So, like, it was just in a wee room at the comedy unit. Oh,
the comedy unit, yeah.
And it was Rab, Ian, and the director that was doing the show. And it was just like me and him sitting reading the parts, but the script that I'd been given the night before had changed. So you're kind of, and I left and I thought, I don't know if I did good there. I don't know if I did rubbish. But after the audition, like I didn't want anything more. I was like, I need to get this part. And I was actually on my way down to Liverpool to wrestle. I was actually doing a death match in Liverpool, and I get the email saying, we'd like to offer you the part. Can you come for a read through in the morning? But I wasn't meant to be back that night. So I did the match and came back. But then I've walked in the next day and my head's all slashed up, and like, there's like blood on my hair and stuff like that. And I was like, so I just need to explain for the folk who have got no idea who I am. This is my job. But then just doing that table read through, it's like, again, it's something I'd never done before. I think there's 3 of us on the show who weren't actors.
Right.
So some amazing actors on the show.
There was certainly some people doing it for the first time. Yeah.
Aye. So we did the read through, and it was just genuine. It was so funny. Like, we were all pissing ourselves laughing, and like there was a bit like they kind of poked fun at me a few times in there as well, because I think there was one. And I'm hearing this for the first time, and I think it was Rab's characters went, if my daddy knew that Ur Colette was going out with a guy that dyed his beard, he'd turn in his grave or something. Like, you bastard. but it just all happened so quick for the audition to get in the part to film, and it was all within the space of about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So did that. I was the first day of filming, so it was deep end for me. And again, I was in the house that we were filming in. That was my character in Colette's house. But the room's just full of cameras, and the hallway's got the setup for the director. And I didn't know what I was doing, Billy. I really didn't. But I just kind of, you wing it. But it was so much fun, man. But it was difficult as well, because obviously when you're interacting with somebody else, you've got your lines, and when you're finished, they talk, and then you can't talk until they finish. Whereas in wrestling, you can kind of go back and forward and cut each other off and add a wee bit. Whereas with this, you couldn't. But just working with some of the people that's on this, I'm a huge Burnstein fan. Yeah. I've always loved Burnstein.
And if anyone is somewhat, listen, look up The Scots. It's proper funny. It's I'm not just saying it, it's proper funny. I think there was talk about going to a series, but I think it might have been, I don't know, it was a lockdown. Have I just made that up, or was I just hoping?
It's lockdown.
Well, there we go. You know, fingers crossed. We'll get to see what happens with it, because proper funny, and it was just amazing to see. Jester, we've kind of run out of time here.
I know.
Do you know that, mate? We really, really have. Like, so we've got to do a part 2. Any news on podcast coming back with you guys? I've got to ask about that.
We don't know yet. We talk about it now and again, but we've all got stuff going on just now. But
yeah.
I don't think we'll go in cold. I think if the podcast's coming back, we'll let you know about it.
Brilliant.
I kind of miss talking about my dinner every Wednesday and something. If you like wrestling, cool, we're on it, but you'll get very, very, very little wrestling content out of the podcast.
I got to admit, it was always one of my highlights here about it, because I'd get to watch it here with you had for your dinner. I went, right, that's what I'm having for my dinner. It just made the process easier for me.
It was good, but like you're saying with this whole, in fact, this just a wee thing before this, like the whole lockdown and COVID situation, I saw a post the other day that kind of didn't sit well with me. Somebody put up a thing saying, could you imagine how different things would be if it wasn't for COVID-19? And I'm like, I think the opposite. Could you imagine how similar things? I think there's been a lot of really terrible stuff coming out of this whole thing, and it's been a hard time. But as far as like the podcast go, that was twice a week. I would sit and talk to my pals. That's twice more than I would normally. Right. I'll get group chats now, keeping in contact with each other. We do video calls. I think with this, like it's changed the way we think, but definitely it's made me reconnect with my pals on a deeper level.
100%.
Because you're not distracted by just constant the hustle and bustle of your constant life, and folk feeling guilty about sitting about and stuff. I'm like, this is maybe the only time in your life that you won't be forced to go to your work and you won't need to be up early every morning. And I know it's not ideal, and I'm missing my work as well. But don't feel guilty because you're sitting watching Netflix for 12 hours a day. Fill your boots. You know what I mean? Like trying not to think about it as if things would be so different, because I think I would still be in a loop of monotony if it wasn't for this. You know what I mean? So the podcast and doing stuff like this is good. You know what I mean? Kind of like, again, I've not spoke to you in 6 months or something. We've messaged back and forward and tweeting and stuff, but it's been mad.
But we'll all stay in touch. Yeah, it's probably about time we actually try to start getting people that haven't to reconnect and what. I don't know. Maybe there'll be something ICWA podcast day coming up. I don't know, but regardless of this, man, this has been an absolute blast.
I loved it. I loved it.
People can find you on social media. They can find you on Facebook and Instagram. You're on Twitter as well. I know you dabble from time to time, and I think we've got some Jester t-shirts on ICWshop.com. I think,
mate, you know more than me, Billy. I don't know.
Let's say if there hasn't, if anyone's watching, let's make that happen. And of course, you can get yourself I think some big Kink beard oil. If not, let's get another blast of that out. Mate, I'm gonna pop you. There's an advert right there. Just you, best of gear. I'll pop you back in the green room and I'll finish this up and we'll get a wee quickie bye. Everyone, give it up for the one and only Mr. Jack Jester, ladies and gentlemen. Amazing. Right. Well, that is a bonus time. We could have honestly done about 2 or 3 episodes. Maybe we'll have to get him back. He's one of our premier Braw ambassadors and just one of the nicest, most creative, unique guys out there. Hopefully we'll get some more wrestling guys on as well. I think he was Whispers of Rudo and some other guys, so we'll keep you informed. Right, make sure to check out everything Jack Jester is up to on social media, and of course brawbeardoils.com. Everything that's going on, new merch coming out, and don't forget that big anniversary is coming up in October. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Here's a little favor if you could do for us. If you give this video a like, a share, tag a friend. I think this one's been a really amazing episode because not only did we get a little insight into pro wrestling, a big creative entity in Jack Jester, but there's some positivity there at the end in regards to where we find ourselves just now. So, and this is a suck-ass situation, but let's try and make the most of it. All that's left to say is, everyone, is chill out, stay in a good space, stay safe, and we'll see you again on broadcast. Right now, it's the awkward bit of the video. We'll have to try and play the closing video without actually bastard. Well, I just might as well play it. Right, I'm out here. Oh, I've started a Patreon. I'll tell you more about that next week. Cheers, boys.